I should have never gone back to that place. Even now, as I sit here, trying to piece together what happened, I can still smell the damp wood, hear the way the floor groaned under my feet, and feel that cold, breathless air pressing against my skin. It was supposed to be nothing more than a dare. A stupid challenge, the kind people throw around when they want to look brave in front of their friends. They told me about the house on Miller's Road. A house that, according to town whispers, didn't let people leave once they entered. Of course, that sounded like a joke, a ghost story. But then I saw it for myself. The house was easy to miss. It stood back from the road, hidden behind a wall of trees. The wood was rotting, the windows boarded, and the roof looked like it was sagging under decades of storms. The porch steps were uneven, and weeds crawled up the railing. It was the kind of place that felt wrong, even before you set foot inside. But I stepped inside anyway. The air hit me first. It wasn't just old or stale. It was heavy, like the atmosphere itself wanted me gone. My flashlight beam sliced across the dust-filled entryway, revealing torn wallpaper, cracked picture frames still clinging to the wall, and a carpet blackened with mold. The door closed behind me. I didn't touch it. I didn't even hear the hinges creak. One moment it was open, the next it was shut. That was when I should have turned around. But the dare wasn't to step inside. The dare was to explore the house, all the way to the top floor, then bring something back as proof. The living room was the first place I checked. Old furniture sat covered in white sheets, though the cloth was stained yellow and brown. My flashlight picked up something odd about the dust. Normally, in a house this old, there should have been years of thick, untouched dust. But here, there were streaks, paths, as if something had been moving through recently. I told myself it was rats or raccoons, anything logical. But then I saw the footprints, bare feet, small like a child's. They trailed from the center of the living room to the bottom of the staircase, then vanished halfway up. I swallowed hard and aimed the flashlight upward. The staircase leaned to one side, warped and unstable. But it wasn't the staircase that made my stomach twist. It was the faint sound I heard from upstairs. A voice, high-pitched, laughing. I froze. Every instinct told me to leave. But my feet carried me forward, each step creaking so loud it felt like the entire house could hear me. The air grew colder the higher I climbed. My breath fogged the beam of my flashlight, and I noticed the walls weren't just covered in peeling wallpaper. They had scratches, dozens of them. Long lines gouged into the wood, some deep enough to splinter it. At the top of the stairs, a hallway stretched left and right. My light flickered, once, twice. Then it steadied, but the dread in my chest deepened. That was when I heard the whisper, right behind me. So close, I could feel the warmth against my ear. Stay. I spun around. Nothing was there. Only the empty hallway, the broken chandelier swaying slowly, as though something had disturbed it. I forced myself to keep moving, choosing the left hallway. The first door I reached was cracked open. I pushed it wider. The hinges screamed, and the smell hit me like rot and damp soil. The room inside looked like a child's bedroom. A rusted bed frame against the wall, stuffed animals lined up on a shelf, their faces chewed or torn. I stepped inside. That was when the door shut behind me. The slam of the bedroom door shook the frame. I rushed back and yanked at the knob, but it wouldn't budge. The handle turned freely in my grip, but the lock didn't click, and the door didn't open. It felt like someone on the other side was holding it shut. I pounded on the wood. Silence. No reply. I forced myself to turn around, aiming my flashlight into the room again. Dust floated in the beam. The bed sat against the wall, its mattress sagging in the middle, like something had been lying there for years. The toys bothered me more. They weren't scattered. They weren't abandoned. They were lined up perfectly, sitting upright on the shelf. Their button eyes seemed to glisten in the dim light, as if they were watching. My heart raced as I noticed one more detail. The footprints, the same small bare feet I'd seen downstairs. They began at the center of the rug, then walked towards the corner of the room. But they didn't stop at the wall. They went up it. Tiny prints climbing vertically, pressed into the faded wallpaper, leading all the way to the ceiling. And then, nothing. They vanished into the dark corner where ceiling and wall met. I kept my light trained there, half expecting to see a small body clinging to the plaster. But the corner was empty. Then something giggled. The sound came from above me, sharp and sudden. I staggered back, hitting the bed frame, nearly dropping my flashlight. The giggle twisted into something else. A wet cough, a broken wheeze, then silence again. The toys fell one by one from the shelf, not toppled, not shaken loose. They were lifted, dropped, then lifted again, as if invisible hands were playing with them. That was enough. I lunged for the door again, ramming my shoulder into it. The wood splintered, and I tumbled back into the hallway. The air out here felt heavier now, as though the house itself was aware of me. I could hear faint creaks on the floorboards above, as if someone or something was pacing the attic directly over my head. I didn't want to go farther, but the dare loomed in my mind. Get to the top floor. Bring something back. That was the challenge. I told myself I had to keep moving. The hallway stretched deeper. More doors lined the walls, some cracked open, others shut tight. The wallpaper here was torn in strips, curling down to reveal black wood beneath. A strange smell hung in the air. Not rot this time. Something sweeter, like perfume, but old and sour. The next door I opened led to a bathroom. The porcelain tub was stained brown. A mirror hung above the sink, cracked down the center. My flashlight beam caught my reflection, but something about it was wrong. I leaned closer. The crack split my face in two, but the reflection didn't match my movements. When I raised my hand, the version of me in the mirror raised its hand, a beat too late. Its smile spread wider than mine, teeth too sharp, eyes too dark. I stepped back fast and slammed the door. My breath came heavy now, the kind where you can't catch enough air, no matter how hard you try. From down the hallway, a door creaked open by itself, a long, slow groan. Then silence. I raised my light and saw the door at the far end of the hall standing ajar. It hadn't been opened before. My stomach twisted as I stared at it. Behind that door, the darkness looked thicker, blacker, like a void waiting to swallow me whole. The floor creaked behind me. I spun around, light shaking. The hallway was empty, but the sound hadn't been in my head. I knew it. The boards had bent under weight, heavy weight, right behind me. I started walking faster toward the far end, even though every part of me screamed to leave. The door waited, wide enough for me to squeeze inside. I reached out and pushed it farther open. The smell hit first. Damp earth, Moldavian something wet. My beam cut across the room and froze. The walls were lined with cages, small ones, metal bars rusted through. Inside, some of them were shapes. Not animals, not anymore. Shriveled husks, bones wrapped in scraps of flesh, like they'd been left there to rot decades ago. A soft sound filled the room, breathing, not mine. It came from the farthest corner. I lifted the light, slowly, and I saw her. A girl, no older than 10, sitting cross-legged on the dirt floor. Her hair hung in tangled strands over her face. Her dress was white once, now stained dark with filth. She rocked back and forth, whispering words I couldn't make out. Then she lifted her head. Her eyes were gone. 2 black sockets stared at me, hollow and endless. She smiled. "Stay." Her voice froze me. One word, one command. "Stay." Every instinct screamed to turn and run, but my legs locked in place. I gripped the flashlight tighter, the beam shaking across the room. The girl's smile didn't move, but her lips twitched like she was fighting to hold it back. She tilted her head, listening to something I couldn't hear. Then she whispered again. "They don't like it when you leave." The cages rattled. One by one, the rusted bars trembled, metal groaning. The shapes inside shifted, bones scraping against steel. A low hum filled the room, like dozens of voices breathing together. I staggered back toward the door. My boots scraped the dirt, and her head snapped toward me with a sudden jerk. Even without eyes, I felt her stare. "Sit," she hissed. Her voice was wrong now, layered, echoing in the walls. I forced myself through the door, yanking it shut behind me. The slam echoed down the hall. I pressed my back against it, chest heaving. That was when I heard laughter. Not from the room, from upstairs. Faint, high-pitched, like children playing. Floorboards creaked overhead in a chaotic rhythm, running back and forth. I didn't want to look up, but I did. Dust rained from the ceiling, shaking loose with every step above me. Something was waiting on the top floor, and I knew that was where I had to go. The staircase loomed ahead, broken banisters, steps warped and uneven. My flashlight cut across the walls, where more of those handprints smeared in dark streaks. Small hands, large hands, some pressed so hard into the wallpaper they tore straight through it. I started climbing. Each step groaned loud enough to wake the dead. Halfway up, a sharp crack made me freeze. One of the boards split under my weight, leaving my foot wedged through the hole. My light swung wildly, scattering shadows across the ceiling. Something moved at the top of the stairs. A figure, tall, lankier than it should have been, arms too long, hanging down past its knees. It stood in the doorway of the upper hall, hunched and swaying. I yanked my foot free, pain slicing through my ankle. My flashlight beam landed on its face, or what should have been a face. Instead, there was smooth skin stretched tight, no eyes, no mouth. The figure twitched, then bolted sideways, vanishing into the dark hall with a speed that didn't seem possible. I forced myself up the rest of the stairs, each step a fight against my own panic. At the top, the air grew colder. My breath fogged in front of me. The hallway stretched longer than the house should allow. Doors lined either side, most closed, some cracked open. Whispers leaked out from behind them, soft and urgent, like conversations that stopped the moment I focused on them. I reached for the nearest door and pushed it open. The room was a nursery, or it had been. A crib sat in the center, draped in rotting fabric. A mobile hung above it, the paper shapes dangling in the stale air. I stepped closer, flashlight shaking. Inside the crib was no baby. It was a mask, a porcelain face painted with wide eyes and a frozen smile. My light caught its surface, and for a moment, I swore the painted eyes blinked. The mobile began to spin, slowly at first, then faster, the paper shapes whipping in circles, though no wind stirred the air. A lullaby music box played, broken and warped, the notes dragging low and sour. I stumbled back into the hallway, slamming the door shut. My skin crawled, every nerve buzzing. Something whispered in my ear. "You're almost theirs." I spun around, light flashing across the hallway. No one was there, but I felt breath against my neck, warm and wet. The next door down creaked open on its own. My throat tightened, but I forced my legs forward. Inside, the room was bare, except for a single chair in the middle. On it sat a man, or what was left of one. His skin clung to bone, gray and dry, but his head snapped toward me the moment I entered. His jaw hung open, and a low moan spilled out. He tried to rise from the chair, but his body cracked with every movement, bones grinding together like stone. I backed out slowly, dragging the door closed. I didn't know how much more of this house I could take. My chest felt tight, my legs weak, but something pulled me farther down the hall. A pressure, like invisible hands on my back, forcing me toward the last door at the very end. It stood taller than the rest, wider, black wood carved with symbols I didn't recognize. The air in front of it pulsed, heavy and alive, like the door itself was breathing. As I reached for the handle, the laughter from upstairs stopped. Every whisper, every creak. The house fell silent. My hand hovered over the knob. Then I heard a voice, a woman's voice, soft and calm. "Come in. We've been waiting." My hand gripped the cold brass knob. It pulsed beneath my fingers like a living thing, faintly warm. The woman's voice drifted again from the other side, calm and almost kind. "Don't be afraid. You're already part of us." I twisted the knob. The door opened without a sound. The room beyond stretched far larger than the house should allow. A cavern, walls hidden in shadows, ceiling lost in blackness. My flashlight beam vanished into the dark, swallowed whole. Then shapes stepped forward, dozens, maybe hundreds. People lined the walls, pale skin, hollow eyes, bodies thin and wrong. Their heads twitched in unison, like marionettes pulled by the same hand. In the center stood the woman who had spoken. She looked normal at first glance, clean dress, long hair that fell over her shoulders. But her face was too smooth, her smile too wide. Her hands reached out toward me, fingers long enough to scrape the floor. "You walked into their house," she said. Her voice was soft, but it filled the cavern like thunder. "That means you belong here." I shook my head. My throat was dry, but words ripped out. "Number, I'm leaving." The crowd stirred. Their mouths opened all at once, black voids where teeth should be. A low moan poured out, rising higher, until it became a deafening wail. I clutched my ears, flashlight tumbling to the floor. Its beam rolled across the room, catching glimpses. The people didn't have feet. Their legs ended in nothing. Their bodies rooted into the floor like trees. The woman stepped closer. Her eyes blinked open for the first time, completely white. "No one leaves." She lifted her hand, and the crowd moved with her. Pale arms reached out, stretching longer than arms should, grasping for me. Fingers scraped the air inches from my skin. I bolted for the door, but when I looked back, the entrance was gone. Only wall, seamless black stone. The wailing stopped. Silence fell heavy, pressing into my skull. The woman stood inches from me now, though I hadn't seen her move. Her mouth split open, wider, wider, until it reached ear to ear. Inside her throat, faces writhed, dozens of them. Human faces screaming silently. Their eyes blinked, their mouths opened and closed in agony. "Breathe," she whispered. "Let them in." Hands erupted from the floor, cold, skeletal, wrapping around my ankles, my wrists. They pulled with strength that felt endless. My chest seized, as if something pressed down from inside my lungs. I fought, thrashing against the grip. My fingers closed around the fallen flashlight. I swung it wildly. The beam cut across the woman's face, and for a split second, she recoiled, her white eyes burning in the glare. The crowd shrieked in unison. That was my chance. I drove forward through the gap, stumbling between their reaching arms. My body hit something solid. The wall cracked, and with a sound like breaking glass, the door reappeared. I crashed through it. The hallway slammed back into place around me. My flashlight flickered, barely holding on. The door behind me thudded once, twice, then went still. I staggered backward, gasping for air. Every inch of me shook, sweat dripping down my face. But I wasn't safe. I could feel it. The house wasn't finished. From the stairs came the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, heavy. Something was climbing toward me. I raised the weak beam of my flashlight. The stairs stretched down into the dark, but the sound kept rising, step after step, closer, louder. Then I saw it. A hand reached into the light. Gray, long-fingered, claws scraping the wood. Another followed. And then a face leaned into view. The same faceless figure from before, crawling up the steps on all fours. Its head tilted, and though it had no eyes, I knew it was staring straight at me. The faceless thing dragged itself closer, its movements jerky, like a broken insect. Its long arms gripped the stairs and pulled with unnatural strength. The wood splintered under its claws. I stumbled backward, clutching the railing for balance. My flashlight beam shook across its smooth head. No mouth, no nose, no eyes, yet I felt its stare burn into me. Then the sound began. Not from its body, but from inside my head. A low hiss at first, then voices. Hundreds of voices, all whispering at once. My name, over and over. Stay, stay, stay. I clenched my teeth, pressing the flashlight harder in my hand, as if light alone would protect me. The figure reached the landing. It unfolded to stand upright. Taller than the ceiling should allow, its head scraping the plaster. Arms hung too low, fingers dragging across the floor. Behind me, the hallway stretched impossibly long again. Doors multiplied on either side, each one pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. I had nowhere to go. The faceless figure tilted its head. Then it moved. Not running. Not walking. One instant it was standing. The next it was inches from me. My flashlight exploded in sparks as its hand brushed it, sending it clattering away into the dark. Total blackness swallowed me. I froze. My own breath sounded too loud. My heartbeat slammed against my chest. And in that silence, a single word filled my skull. Leave. The faceless figure's voice, deep, hollow, like an echo through endless tunnels. The floor beneath me shifted. I felt it give way. My legs buckled as the boards cracked, opening into black nothing. Hands shot out from below, cold, bony, dozens of them. They grabbed at my ankles, my knees, my waist, pulling, dragging me into the dark pit. I screamed and clawed at the floor, splinters tearing my palms. My fingers hooked the edge of a broken plank. I pulled with everything I had, but the hands only tightened, pulling harder. The faceless thing crouched above me, silent, watching. No one leaves. The voices whispered again, louder this time, chanting. No one leaves. No one leaves. The darkness swallowed my legs. My chest followed. My fingers slipped. And then, a blinding light filled the hall. Every door swung open at once. White light poured out, flooding the space. The hands recoiled, screeching. The faceless figure stumbled back, its smooth head splitting with cracks of light. I yanked myself free and crawled forward, body trembling, lungs on fire. The light grew stronger, pulling me towards the nearest door. I didn't think, I dove into it. The moment I crossed the threshold, the house vanished. I hit cold pavement, rolling across cracked asphalt. My flashlight, broken but intact, landed beside me. I looked up, gasping. The motel, Route 6, the same parking lot. My car sat exactly where I had left it. The night air stung my lungs, crickets chirped. A single neon sign buzzed overhead. For the first time in what felt like hours, everything seemed normal. I staggered to my feet, every muscle shaking. I opened the car door with trembling hands, threw myself inside, and slammed the lock down. The key turned. The engine roared. Headlights cut through the night. But as I drove, the rearview mirror caught something. In the back seat, a shape sat perfectly still, white eyes glowing faintly. The whisper filled my head again. You never leave. The glowing eyes in the rearview mirror didn't blink. They didn't move. They only stared. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles white. The car surged down the empty highway, tires humming against the cracked pavement. The faster I went, the louder the whisper grew. You never leave. You never leave. I refused to look back again. If I did, I knew I'd lose control. I pressed harder on the gas, heart hammering, sweat stinging my eyes. The road ahead stretched endlessly. No signs, no towns, no headlights from other cars. Only blackness on either side, trees leaning inward, like they wanted to swallow the highway whole. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. I didn't know anymore. The clock on the dashboard flickered nonsense. 0000, then 1366, then blank. My phone buzzed in my pocket. My chest tightened. I hadn't felt it vibrate since I entered the house. With shaking hands, I pulled it out. One new message. Unknown number. 3 words glowed on the screen. Check the back. I threw the phone onto the passenger seat, refusing to obey. My vision blurred with panic, but I forced myself to focus on the road. Then I felt it. Breath on my neck, slow, cold, close enough that the tiny hairs on my skin lifted. My whole body froze. My foot hovered above the gas pedal, shaking. Say it, the whisper demanded. I swallowed hard. What? The voice filled the car, louder now, vibrating through the frame. Say you will stay. My throat closed. Tears burned at the corners of my eyes. My whole life, every memory, every moment, flashed through my mind like it was being torn away piece by piece. Say it, or we take you. The steering wheel jerked in my hands. The car swerved, tires screeching as I fought to steady it. My headlights cut across the trees, and for the briefest second, I saw faces pressed against the bark. Pale, hollow-eyed faces. Hundreds of them. Watching, waiting. I screamed into the night. I won't stay. The car lurched violently. An invisible force slammed me sideways, my head hitting the window. The world spun in a blur of headlights, trees, and asphalt. Then everything went black. I woke to silence. My car sat perfectly parked in front of the same motel. No damage, no sign of a crash. The neon sign above buzzed faintly, casting red light across the lot. My hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel. My phone lay in the cup holder, screen dark. The keys sat untouched in the ignition. Had I dreamed it? I turned to check the back seat. Empty. A wave of relief washed over me. I exhaled for the first time in what felt like forever. My chest ached, my eyes heavy. I reached for the door handle. That's when I saw the mirror. In the reflection, the back seat wasn't empty. A face stared back at me, smooth, pale, no eyes, no mouth. The whisper filled the car one last time. You never leave. The mirror cracked down the middle. Darkness swallowed everything.